like to call the meeting to order. It's 7:30. It's February 18th, 2015. First on the agenda this evening under new business is 27 Ranch Road, application for demolition of existing residence and replacement with two-story colonial with three-season porch on existing foundation. Is anyone here on that application this evening? You want to just come on up and sign in if you would. Whoever wants to speak at all on this. If you can just sign in and then just state your name for the record so that Tammy knows how to phrase the minutes.
Yes, sir.
So basically, if you just want to sort of summarize what you're looking to do here.
Okay, the existing house is a small 50s ranch, about 1,500 square feet. Breezeway, two-car garage, enclosed breezeway. It's finished space now. Basically, take the house down from the garage, the rest of the house, the main house, and the breezeway section, which is a mudroom right now. And put a two-story colonial modular house on the foundation, which you already had the foundation checked by an engineer, and everything was okay as far as the integrity of the foundation.
Okay. Harry, do you have any comments on this? Any suggestions? Thoughts?
Well, you know, I think the site disturbing characteristic of removing the house and it'll be much easier on the modular than removal of the actual house. It's all of this is of concern only during the construction activity. So I think that
It's something that's appropriate to delegate, you think?
I'll accept the delegation. Mm-hmm. Certainly capable of doing that.
What's everybody else think?
I would agree with that. I mean, if the proper normal safeguards are taken and the wetlands are reasonably far away.
Yeah. I see it looks like there's a new underground propane tank going in. Is that planned?
Well, we were proposing, but we probably put above ground right at the present because the finance and whatever, they'll supply you with the tank if it's above ground. So, and then just, put some shrubs to block it. All the mechanicals will be on that end of the house anyways. The air conditioners, if there's a generator, it'll be all in that area of the house, and then it'll be screened by shrubbery.
Mm-hmm. And that looks like it's the only activity planned beyond the footprint of the existing house then, correct? Is that it?
There's a proposed bump out.
The bump out.
Oh, okay, I see that on the other side.
Yeah. The Bilko door we're planning to put on the, that would be, I guess, the north side, and that same side towards the rear.
So there's a garage underneath, a basement underneath all that?
Which would not encroach on any of the setbacks.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What was your question, True? Okay. Now, that three-season porch on the back there, is that existing and it's just being replaced? Or is
There's
that
a deck there right now.
Okay, all right. I don't know, I kind of think it would be appropriate to delegate. Anybody else have any comments?
The driveway is existing and that's going to stay as it is?
I'm sorry, I can't.
The driveway?
Driveway will be basically the same.
And you'll do hay bales and all the usual precautions for...
There's a silt fence too.
There is a silt fence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that.
So the squiggly line represents the present clearing limits.
The
along the wetland, about
Yeah, the squiggly there, that's the wetlands, I believe, the setback of the wetlands.
Well, there's a wetlands flag,
Is that correct?
and then there's a graphic convention.
I don't.
I'm Rob Pryor, I'm the engineer and surveyor that did the plan. I think the line you're talking about is existing tree line.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And that is the existing clearing limits. There's no additional trees proposed to be cleared as part of this application.
So you're not planning on increasing the clearing limits at all?
If you've seen you probably haven't seen the site, but the site is pretty wide open lawn area developed presently.
And is there any change in the septic system, or is it an existing septic
No.
system?
The septic was
It was
replaced when we bought the house.
It was updated when they purchased the home.
Oh, so it's already been updated?
Yes.
And-
Actually, it's a brand new septic. We did 2001.
And as a part of any expansion, as you know, we're required to show the ability to replace the system with the Quinnipiac Valley Health District. That's been submitted to them. I'm not sure that they've signed off on that yet. But
They did.
Yes, it's all been signed off on. So.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Otherwise, we'll probably delegate this to Terry. You want to just vote on that now and get it out of the way? Do we have a motion to delegate the application to Terry?
So moved.
David moved. Do we have a second? Jack seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 5-0. Okay. The only other request in this was Chris left me a note that the applicant was looking for reduction in the fee. I mean, most of our fee is charged based on costs we have to incur for publication, et cetera. So I don't know whether this really, typically the only time we reduce a fee is if it's an application that we've sent back for, that the applicant's already paid the fee once, or if it's a town activity. Typically we don't reduce the fees otherwise. I don't, just the cost of publication in the newspapers for both Terry's decision and notice of the meeting counts for a lot of the fee. And typically when we have engineering review beyond that, we charge extra for that. So I'm not sure that this is appropriate for fee reduction, but if somebody has other thoughts, let me know. Well, we might as well decide that too. We have a motion one way or the other on this.
We didn't even know about the fee reduction. When we presented this towards Ms. Sullivan, she said, "You're not really doing much to it." So,
Oh, really?
yeah. So it was brought to.
Oh, she mentioned it? Oh.
She's the one. Who,
Okay.
she's the one who mentioned it. I didn't,
Okay. Well, are you withdrawing the request then? Because it's not going to pass.
Okay,
frankly. So okay, all right then. There was some miscommunication there. Apologize for that. So, all right. I guess that's it. What we'll do then, in order to move the process along, just to explain what we did. If we were to act on the application, we'd have to wait 30 days. We'd have to start next month. By delegating it to Terry, he can act within the next month and give you your permit with whatever reasonable conditions he attaches to that. And your plan looks like it's in pretty good shape. So just if you want to meet with Terry sometime in the next week, he'll take care of getting your permit issued, so you'll be a month ahead of where you would otherwise be.
Okay.
So, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Rob.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. I was supposed to do it. And Mr. Pryor, since you're here for the next one, it's convenient. You can sign in now for that one, too. This is the application of 190 Seymour Road, application for residential site development of lot. And Chris just wanted me to remind you, we need one more set of the plans when you have a chance.
Oh, no problem.
You did what?
Floor is yours.
It's all mine.
Yes.
Well, good evening. My name is Robert Pryor. I'm a licensed engineer and land surveyor here in Connecticut. I thought since I found it quite interesting that I had never been in front of this commission before. And tonight I was on both agenda items.
Welcome.
I thought I'd spend a minute just to go over my qualifications, because at some point you got to determine that I'm actually qualified to do this work. I graduated in 1988 from MIT with degrees in civil engineering and planning. I then embarked on what feels like forever now, but about a 26-year engineering career. I started my career down in Lower Fairfield County doing a lot of high-end residential type of design work. I've done Department of Defense work, big box retail. I did the Lowe's in Lowe's Home Improvement Center in Derby, and I did the one on the old High-Rise site in Milford. Of the 169 towns here in Connecticut, I've designed, permitted, and oversaw the construction of projects in I think about 60 of those towns. Outside of Connecticut, I've done projects in Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York, New Jersey, North Carolina, Arkansas, and Puerto Rico. So, and actually, in addition to doing that, I've constructed 30 homes during that time since I graduated college as well. On this particular project, I am the owner of the lot, I'm the surveyor, I'm the engineer, and I will be the home builder. Good thing is that if something goes wrong, there won't be a lot of finger pointing going on. As you state in your memo, this is not a lot. This is a lot that you've seen before. I think this last came before you sometime late in 2003. I think it was approved in 2004, site plan approval. Although this layout is similar to what was approved, it is different. My intention is to, once we get comments back from your consultant and I make a full presentation, I'll certainly contrast what I think is better about this plan than the site plan that was previously approved. The plans have been submitted to the state DOT because of the driveway entrance onto the state highway, and they've also been submitted to the Quinnipiac Valley Health District. We're proposing a relatively modest home on the property, a 3-bedroom house, approximately 2,500 square feet. The house is a little bit shorter, sort of across the lot than the house that was previously proposed for the lot. Allows me to get a little bit further from the existing wetlands and water course. We've proposed a little bit of a different treatment for the water course. If you recall, I'm not sure how many members of the commission were involved with the last application, but the last application proposed rip-wrapping the entire water course from top to bottom. We proposed a little bit different treatment with some rip-wrap check dams to slow velocities and to reduce erosion along that water course. We feel it's a little more environmentally sensitive treatment. Like I said, I've been doing this for a few years, and I've never proposed rip-wrapping a natural water course, so I wasn't about to start today. But if that's what your consultant, if that's what you prefer, then we can certainly do that as well. Again, we feel this treatment retains some of the features of the natural water course in a way that the full rip-wrapping of that water course, full armoring of that water course wouldn't. With that, again, I was thinking that essentially I'd give you kind of an overview and defer a full presentation of this till we get some comments from the consultant, your consulting engineer, with regard to the project. And I'm hoping that when we get to the next meeting, I'll have my approvals from the Quinnipiac Valley Health District and maybe at least some comments from the DOT. I'm not expecting the DOT to react quite as fast as the health district.
That'd be helpful if I know you mentioned the size of the house being, I guess, shorter. Can you sort of highlight what the other changes from the previously approved plan are?
Well, yeah, and I have a copy of this is a copy of the old plan, so I put them together, but you can see they're generally the same. The previously approved plan, again, proposed rip-wrapping the entire water course from top to bottom and then piping it the remainder of the way. My proposal calls for providing rip-wrap check dams to slow that water, the flow of water down the hillside, providing rip-wrap plunge pools as an additional place to catch sediments as they're transported off the stream bed, putting those plunge pools in areas that can be monitored and maintained, and reducing the amount of piping to essentially a 30-foot culvert to get the driveway across. I have proposed to pull the house up the hillside slightly, and part of the reason for that was that the previous plan, it doesn't show up on the previous survey, but right where the house was, there's a large rock outcrop. It's not indicative of shallow ledge conditions all over the lot, but it is an enormous boulder, and you couldn't really build the house on top of it without blasting it to break it up to get rid of it. I propose to put the house on the uphill side of that to avoid having to touch it. We'll fill over it, but we can avoid having to blast the boulder out of there. I've shown what I feel is a more reasonable sized backyard. The previous plan, from the back of the house to the clearing limits, was about 37 feet of pretty steeply graded backyard. I don't think that's a reason. I don't feel that that's a reasonable backyard to provide if you're thinking you're going to have children have some outside play area. Septic system that I proposed based on some advances in some of the technologies that are out there. I've been able to actually reduce the size of the septic system and pull it further away from the wetlands and closer to the bottom of the lot. Again, those are the major changes. And again, I'm going to use the previously approved site plan as one of my feasible and prudent alternatives that I'll present to you next meeting, as far as and tell you some of the reasons that some of the things that in this plan that I think are there's some weaknesses to this plan.
It's a challenging lot to begin with.
Oh, it certainly is. It's and I think that's why it probably sat for a while. Is that it's a lot that a typical builder probably looks at that lot as a little intimidated by it. Being an engineer, I think I got a little bit better handle on what has to be done there.
How are you handling driveway runoff under your plan?
This
seems like a fair amount more driveway there than the previous plan.
Well, and that's another thing. I'm proposing a paved driveway. Mm-hmm. The previous plan called for a gravel driveway. The previous plan also, called for a gravel driveway at 13% grades. I don't think that's reasonable. I don't think that's, and I have made this argument before in front of wetlands commissions that the difference in runoff between a hard-packed gravel driveway that would be stable and a paved driveway isn't as much as you would probably think. But what I have the driveway pitched from north to south, so that means the driveway pitches toward the bank. And then what I propose is develop a grass line swale along that side of the driveway to pick up the driveway drainage and direct it into the plunge pool where it's into the drainage system. There will be a small amount of driveway drainage, which the DOT may certainly comment about. That will get out into the that will drain toward the road, and then there's a catch basin right here, so it would have to get to that catch basin. They may certainly ask me to put additional catch basins in. I'm going to wait for them to tell me to do that.
The driveway cut looks like it's in the same spot that the previous approval was.
Essentially, same location. And you really need, and it makes the most sense because the roadway is going down, so it's lower here. So the further you put the driveway this way, the harder it is to get up the hill. And that's one of the things I looked at, was to try to see if I could get the driveway in on this side of this water course. And what ends up happening, and I didn't bring it, but I have an exhibit that demonstrates that you can't get up the hill, and then you have, based on the maximum required local required driveway grades and what you have to do in the state right of way, you end up with these 15 to 16, 17 foot cuts when you get up to the house location, and it just doesn't make any sense.
A few of us have seen the site before. Others would benefit from seeing it. I guess the only problem is with all the snow on the ground at this point. I mean, what I think we'll do, perhaps, is schedule a site visit for those who would want to attend, assuming that we have some thawing between now and second Saturday in March. Unless we would like to do something different. I don't know how everyone feels. Sharon, David, and I think have all seen it.
I think the Saturday right before the next meeting is like the 14th. So it's about 3 weeks. You might get some. You might get some snow melted off by then. I don't know.
Another couple feet. But I think we probably should schedule it anyway, and we'll see what conditions are at that point. And that way,
we can always cancel it.
Yeah, come next month. At least those who haven't seen the site will be able to have some familiarity with it. How's that sound?
And Chris Colo should have comments by next week.
Right, yeah. And even if we can't weather conditions don't permit a visit without sliding back down the hill, then at least we'll have Bob's comments on the plan, and we can at least continue the process. So.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest problem I think out there is just finding a place where you put the car, where you park.
Well, yeah, in fact, one of the other notes I had on this is, I guess one of the neighbors called, not complaining about the development plan, but asking that we not park on any of their property. So,
it's got to be the.
Probably is.
There.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's another consideration for when we go out there. If there's no place to park, we just keep driving. So
when I go out there, I park at the bottom of the triangle on Bethmore, and then walk up. That's the only place you can really get off the road.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that'll probably be for those who end up going, that'll probably be the place where we have to park. So.
I think that's probably what you have to do.
Yeah.
It's safe enough to walk up the street.
Yeah.
14th, March
14th is March 14th. So
when I was last there, we parked on the high side and trespassed on somebody's property without too much trouble.
You mean up on what is it, Acorn?
No, was it Rose something?
Oh, Rose. Oh, yeah, Rose Hill, Roseview.
Right, Roseview. Yeah.
Roseview, yeah.
Maybe we could get permission.
You could inquire, because that might be a safer.
That's a certainly an easy, and that gets you. You'll certainly be able to find the head of the water course walking down the hill, because you'll see the end of where the pipe discharges from. That's. I mean, the storm drainage from Roseview is what this water course is all about. Mm-hmm. It's been I think Roseview was developed somewhere around late 50s, and I think that's kind of the beginning of this, where this water course really came from.
Staff will inquire and let you know if we can part.
Yeah, we'll work out logistics a few days before the 14th as far as where we'll be and just confirm whether conditions permit.
Have you done septic testing yet?
Yes. Actually, it's interesting because I know there was some real concern about the erosion on the water course, and it seemed to be a point of discussion in the last application. And the interesting thing is now we have 10 years worth of experience. Mm-hmm. We know, because we resurveyed this property, so we know what the bottom of the water course was 10 years ago, and we know what the bottom of the water course is today, and we can quantify that. I have done that, so we'll have something interesting to talk about. It's the long and short of it is about an inch a year it erodes out.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be helpful to be sure Bob's aware of that. Bob Priscolo, just so that he could look at that aspect. Yeah,
It's very well
yeah,
documented.
yeah, it's one of the more complete applications we've seen in a long time. So we appreciate that. All right, then what we'll do is we'll continue the app. Anybody else have any other questions first? But
Just a question on that driveway. You're using pavement. Is there any opportunity to use a pervious type cement in there as opposed to?
I'd have to look at it. I think it's. There's a lot of discussion about pervious pavements and things, and we always get into the discussion about. We always talk about, especially in the Northeast, how effective are those pervious pavements after you've sanded and salted, and how does that affect their performance over time? There are some products. There's actually some rubberized products that seem to be okay with that. They're also quite expensive. I think if you look at what we've done, provide a full drainage analysis for this on the overall watershed that goes through this property, and the effect from this development for all the storms we looked at, even up to the 100-year storm, was I think less than a half a CFS of increase in rate of runoff. Just to compare this, when you look at the receiving waters of Bladen's Brook, you're looking at, for a 100-year storm, you're looking at 800 CFS kind of flows there. It's quite negligible. And I looked at potentially putting some kind of an underground detention system in for the roof drainage, and it came out that I could trim maybe 1/10 of a CFS off that. It just didn't. It didn't feel worth it. It didn't feel worth it. I did look at it, though.
It's not uncommon for people to promise 0% increase. Whether or not it's actually possible to do or not, I don't know. But it's not uncommon for promises to be made.
Yeah,
and engineering data to supposedly support that. So.
Can you get to 0?
I don't think you could get to 0, because I think even if you stored the whole roof, I don't think you could get. I think just based on the way the site is, I don't think you can get the driveway. I don't think you can capture the whole driveway. And I think that realistically, the change in the runoff is within the margin of error of how accurately we can even predict how much runoff's coming off the site.
You say that we're losing an inch a year. You predict that we're going to continue to lose an inch a year, though.
Well, I would say that level of erosion in the stream bank is probably slowing. And the reason I would suggest that is that's just a natural way of things. Streams get naturally more stable as they get down cut. That's what nature is trying to do. Nature is trying to. So first of all, the upper layers of soils are sandy loam soils, which are easily erodible. As you get down to the sea horizon, lower levels of soil, you get into a compacted glacial till. It's less erodible. So that I think that level of erosion is probably slowing down. I don't think that in 100 years from now you come back and this thing is 100 inches deeper than it is now.
So it's the last 10 years that really did the work here.
Well, I think the first 40 years did a lot of work, and the last 10 years did additional work. But I think you look at another phenomena that kind of happens with these is that as the stream bank erodes, you get a natural armoring of the stream bed, meaning that as water cuts through the soil, the larger particles tend to drop down to the bottom of the stream bed. Those are the particles that don't erode anymore, the bigger boulders. And if we go out there, we'll see that there's portions that now you've got sort of these bigger cobbles on the bottom of the stream bed. The water's not going to erode those to the same extent that it erodes some of the finer particles.
But in times of high flow, do you think that the slough off from the side?
There is, yeah. And I mentioned it. I don't know. I think you still get some of that. Mm-hmm. I still think you still get some.
That was what the armoring idea was to slow that down.
And it certainly work. That would certainly work. I look at it. It's a water course that's become a natural feature over the years that it's existed, and it has certain values and benefits and functions as a natural water course. When you armor it, you essentially remove all those natural functions and values from that water course. You're not going to have that kind of the deer are not going to walk down there and take a drink out of a rock-lined water course. It's just not going to happen. I would never propose to a wetland commission armoring a water course when I thought there was a better way to do it. But if that's the pleasure of the commission, that's what we'll do.
The one CFS that you talk about, is that water that's going under the road through that pipe, or is it running off the driveway onto the road? And will DOT have a similar requirement of no increase in runoff?
Typically, they may. I don't know what they're going to say. Mm-hmm. It's a DOT. Yeah. I work with them all the time, and I expect they'll ask me for something. Mm-hmm. That may be a pair of basins down toward the bottom of the driveway. There is a drainage pipe I can tie into without having to dig up the road. So certainly they may ask for that. But I think that the overland flow, I think that the increase is confined to entering the drainage system, as opposed to flowing overland onto the sheet flow onto the roadway.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
No.
Okay, then we'll plan on doing a site visit on March 14th, weather permitting, and we'll figure out the logistics as to how we approach the area. Helicopter, or whatever. And we'll continue the application for next month, and we'll have Bob take a look at it, and then hopefully we'll get comments back to you before next month's meeting, and then we can start addressing engineering stuff to engineering.
Yeah, that'd be good.
If we can get his assistance, perhaps we'd like to attend next month's meeting before we present it.
No, yeah, I think that makes sense.
So you have access.
Yeah, even if we don't have the site visit accomplished by then, I think the engineer should talk and have a live conversation. Be easier. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And again, we'll have a full blown soup to nuts presentation for next time.
No, it was helpful what you did, though. From my perspective, having seen the site, and walked in that channel, and gone back and forth on how it should be treated, back 10, 11 years ago, your perspective is, helpful.
Again, I just can't. I just wouldn't propose it. That's all. I just wouldn't propose that. That's all. I mean, to me, you might as well pipe it if you're going to do that.
I think it doesn't slow it down.
Well, don't we have? We go do a 50-50 thing or something like that. We done.
We have We can direct you to a rather successful riprap stream that is a fraction of this grade, by the way, on the end of the subdivision. If you'd like to see one in work, it's a very successful.
Oh, I have no doubt that they work. I have no doubt that it works. It's
Different purposes.
it's just a.
No, I can appreciate the deer comment, the wildlife comment, them not wanting to be in the riprap, but we'll see. We'll take a look at it and hear what Bob has to say too.
Well, the other alternative is that for the last 10 years, it's done what it's done, and it's not. The world hasn't come to an end.
Right. And there's been no, dirt that's washed over Seymour Road, and we can't get down there. So.
Right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, continuing on with the agenda. Old business, we have none. Thank you. Received correspondence, etc. In your package was the Habitat newsletter, which had some interesting read in there. So, also there's a Khaki-Wick meeting coming up. Chris will get you the information. I think it's middle of March or something like that. Is that if you want to attend?
It's on the back page.
Oh, it's on the back page. Okay. Which I actually look kind of interesting. I know Chris is going. I'm going. If anybody else wants to go, let Chris know, and she'll take care of the registration.
It's the one on March 19th, right?
Yeah, I'm going on the one during the week, not the one on the back page. Hold on, let me just see here. Thought I saw some information here, but Chris has all the details, and she'll take care of registering you for it. I also got an email on it, so I can forward the email to everyone also.
That's the one I got.
Yeah. So. All right. Next item. Enforcement officer report. Terry, any problems you have to talk about?
There's nothing. There's nothing like this sort of deep freeze to make our sites stable.
So until the big thaw happens, we have no problems to talk about.
Nope.
Great. All right. We talked about site inspections, which is March 14th. And, some of us have gone before, but you're more than welcome to go again. Like I said, I'm not optimistic that we'll be able to really see anything by then, but we'll see what happens. A lot can change in a month. All right, next time on the agenda, approval of minutes, regular meeting of September 17th. The minutes were in your packages.
Move to approve.
Yeah, Tammy, actually, great job on the minutes as always. So. Anybody have any? I know David moved to approve already, but anybody have any comments or any corrections or? Very good.
Second.
Oh, okay. David moved. Barry seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 5-0 approved. Next item, regular meeting of November 19, 2014.
Move to approve.
Okay, David
Wow.
moved.
No comment.
No comment? Okay. Were you seconding?
Yes.
Sharon seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, 5-0 approved. I'm at the bottom of my list. Terry, we have anything else we have to talk about?
I don't. Just when that you're going to adjourn, I guess.
Okay. Well, just one thing I want to mention. We didn't get to it tonight, and maybe next month we should. It'd kind of be good to have some time devoted to goals, changes, direction, that kind of stuff. So maybe next month, if you want us to give it some thought as to things, regulation changes that we think may be appropriate. We don't have any new state things that we have to adopt, but if there's anything that anybody has on their mind that we need to address, I think we should set aside a little bit of time next month to talk about that.
That'd be good.
So even if we don't have any other scheduled, we will have
Well, we
this.
will have this, so we'll have
Okay.
something to do no matter what. So
Okay.
we'll just
So
add that
after
to the
that,
agenda.
we'll put it
Yeah,
first.
exactly. So if anybody has any thoughts on goals, directions, etc.
And if you want to have staff prepare anything for you, if you want to tell us about what thoughts that you might have, we could be prepare things for you if you want to broach the subject. You know,
Or maybe staff could even brainstorm a few questions that might spark discussion between us. Like,
Well, certainly the one area that I would be interested in exploring is tying our violations of regulations relative to a building permit, and enforcing some sort of a penalty that would be
Yeah, maybe we
more
should.
conducive to any things.
Yeah. If Chris has time, maybe she could look into that whole issue of the extent of our authority. I mean, it's really more of a Jerry, town council type thing. But I'll do a little bit of research on it too to see what I can figure out. So.
I spent some time, as you may know, about this based on previous conversations, and I know of nothing that we can do locally that would change the statutory construction of, and there's just not. It's interesting, but with zoning, by the way, is completely tied by operation of state statute. A building inspector may not issue a certificate of occupancy on something that is not deemed zoning compliant. It's easier in our community because forever in our community, the zoning enforcement officer has been the building inspector. You've never had a different wetlands enforcement officer than a building inspector in Woodbridge. So it's easy to get tasks done. But in terms of, there was a time, there was a location in which we thought that would be a useful tool. We explored it and we found that it was not available to us by operation of state law. I don't know if we can do anything with regulations that would be more restrictive than that. But if that's what you're asking for,
We'll look in. Yeah, we'll do a little bit of research on that for
Okay.
next month to see what the limits of authority are.
the thing that I just thought of is there a way, like we have a violation or we have an issue, there's a way that we can create a calendar so that we keep track of things that have or haven't been done or bonded. So that, I know you guys keep track of them, but maybe there's a way, like the firehouse following through on its stuff, unless we remember, oh yeah, they didn't do that. Oh, yeah. I don't think we have an organized enough a way to keep track of past historical things that slip through the cracks. So I don't know if we can brainstorm something functional.
I mean, one way to do that would be to keep it on your agenda.
Or if we have a review meeting every, February, where we review all the things that had any
Actually, that's a good idea,
difficulty.
probably. Yeah.
So that we clean up old business, because you keep moving on and sort of forget some of those. Like, is there bonds outstanding that we should be telling them that they can, get their money for, or are there bonds that we need to follow up? Any number of things that we decide over the year that we then don't really think back on. So that would be something to think about for that reason, from my perspective.
One other thing that I hit in other towns too is that in some towns, many more things are handled administratively, and the enforcement officer basically makes a decision whether it goes to the board or not. And I think that for some of these more de minimis things, even Ranch Road, that probably could have been something that you just looked at and said, okay, we could handle it. We just got to look at the statutory authority and the constraints on that too. So.
I agree with you. I think that a good deal more your authorized agent could take a lot more actions than he does. But we have historically, since that was allowed in a recent change, not a recent change, but about a 10-year change ago. I remember when it changed, and we've not done that. We've always sought you to authorize the agent to take action. And for the 10 routine things that one can handle that way, it'll be the one or two things that you should probably will have wanted to review.
And I think once we have someone as competent as you, it works well to have it be a referred agent, but we don't, if we put it in the rules and then we don't have as competent a person, we might regret that.
Well, maybe we can put a probationary period in there. No, but I mean, just one other thing to talk about, because you want to try to keep government, smoothly operating, and that sometimes, Because, you know, the only comment, well, one of the comments I sometimes get back is that it seems like it's more of a prolonged process than it needs to be for the more ministerial type thing. So, but that, again, that's something we can talk about next month. So, anyway, anything else anyone has on their mind? Okay, how about let's
Move to approve.
Second.
Move to adjourn.
okay, do we have a second?
I'll take.
Barry
yeah.
seconded, David moved, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, we're out here, it's 8:15, thank you.